and welcome to the Collegium, our monthly magazine program in 3 parts: cinema, state of affairs, and our arts calendar.
Ja, dass zum Beispiel jeder an was glaubt.
Vielleicht, dass jeder andere Glauben haben.
Ja, also es sind alle Menschen und die Regeln sind auch öfters also so gleich.
Sind alle Menschen, sind alle gleich so, ne?
Na, ich denke mal, jede Religion oder jeder Gläubige denkt an irgendwas.
Ja, zum Beispiel ja bei den Christen oder Muslimen, also ja in der Bibel oder im Koran, das heißt also alles fast gleich und so. Ja, so ein bisschen so Unterschiedlichkeiten gibt es, aber Ja, also nicht viele.
Kleine Unterschiede, also die richtigen Unterschiede weiß ich nicht, aber...
Es gibt im Koran oder in der Bibel, halt in der muslimischen Seite oder in der christlichen Seite, gibt viele verschiedene und auch viele gemeinsame Seiten.
Christian religion and Muslim religion, the similarity is that we also believe on the same things which Christian believe.
Viele, die sich religiös betrachten, an eben etwas glauben.
Zum Beispiel andere sind evangelisch oder glauben an hier Jesus und die anderen halt an Allah, so Mohammed so.
In der Bibel steht, es gibt nur einen Gott.
If you open the Old Testament of a Bible, you can see the same prophets, and in a Muslim religion, if you open the Quran, you also read the same prophets.
Inder glauben nach dem Tod, ob sie Kühe werden. Ja, und das ist ihre Sache und das ist unsere Sache, an was wir glauben.
An die Gleichheit, auch an die Wahrheit, an die Würde des Menschen, an gewisse ethische Grundsätze.
Zum Beispiel wir Muslimen glauben, ob nach dem Tod ja, was weiteres gibt.
No, und der Rest ist nur Religionen, dass die Menschen selber kreiert haben, gemacht haben. No?
We believe only on the last prophet, Muhammad. But Christians say that this Isa alayhi salam is Jesus.
Dass alle Religionen, ich denke, anstreben, das Gute von Menschen herauszufordern.
Der sucht einfach sein einziges Vollwert oder so, das in der Erde gut ist.
Und dass das Gemeinsame oder Verbindende sein müsste, das Religionen halt darstellen.
Das ist das Menschliche, die menschliche Werte.
Also Gemeinsamkeit finden wir, wenn wir Unterschiedliches wie Akzeptation auch sehen, wie man der ansieht, wie man die Meinung des anderes hat.
No, wer das Mensch wirklich der Wahrheit Gott, der Liebe Gott sucht, wird die Wahrheit finden. Und es gibt nur einen Gott.
Ein Bund, eine gemischte religiöse Bund. Islam drin, Protestanten drin, Katholiken drin, Juden drin und andere auch Ebene, Buddhisten drin und so weiter. Diese Gemeinsamkeit zu finden, da haben wir unsere Sachen, unsere Konflikte, unser Ansehen, unsere Meinungen, besser werden wir nachkommen und werden wir den menschlichen Dienst geleistet werden.
Die Kooperation, sag ich mal, man muss sich halt gegenseitig verstehen, also einander helfen und so. Also man soll sich einfach gegenseitig, sag ich mal, unterstützen.
Die Leute müssen sich vielleicht kennenlernen, richtig kennenlernen.
Miteinander sollten die zum Beispiel gemeinsam nachdenken.
Gespräch miteinander führen.
Die sollen sich gegenseitig erklären, was sie machen dürfen und was nicht.
Indem man einen verstärkten Dialog fördert.
Die sollen miteinander reden, warum sie an sowas glauben.
Da hilft nur Offenheit.
Also dann würde man vielleicht gar nicht so einen Hass aufeinander haben, vielleicht verschiedene Religionen, wenn man sich kennenlernt, dass eigentlich alle Menschen gleich sind, egal, schwarz oder weiß.
Indem man mit den Leuten, mit den verschiedenen Vertretern der verschiedenen Religionen zusammenkommt, auch zuhört, was diese Menschen von ihrer Religion halten und dass man die Religion auch darstellt.
Und jeder soll seine eigene Religion nachgehen.
Wenn wir zentrale Stelle haben, viele Religionen, dann haben wir selbstverständlich gemeinsames die Meinungen und die Konflikte, auch die Veranstaltungen und Konferenzen und über die, sagen wir zum Beispiel über Islam. Was Islam Wirklichkeit, wann ist er geboren? Was ist der Islam, welche Zeitraum bis jetzt? Was ist der Katholik? Was ist der Protestant? Was ist der Evangelisch oder die andere Religion?
Offenheit und Toleranz für unterschiedliche Glaubensgöttern oder unterschiedliche Symbolen, was an jeder Religion unterschiedlich ist.
We have to live in a peace. If we have to live in a free religion, if somebody, you have to accept the other religions. Also, if somebody is Christ, you have to respect of this religion, and you have to respect, because religion is your belief, Glaube.
Offen, transparent, ehrlich, aber auch unumwunden, dass man sagt, das ist unsere Religion, daran glauben wir, und dass man Wege findet, eben auch die Akzeptanz der anderen Religionen zu verstärken, zu fördern auch.
Was besonderen Werten sind an unterschiedlichen Religionen. Man soll offen sein und daraus finden, ja, dieser Schatz, das jede Religion eigentlich an sich hat. Da muss man offen sein und suchen, dieser Schatz von jedem Mensch und jeder Religion finden. Das glaube ich, dass man machen muss.
I would first like to acknowledge and pay tribute to a great man that has inspired me a great deal. The following information about him I have retrieved from the internet. What we now call Black History Month was originated in 1926 by Carter Goodwin Woodson as Negro History Week. The month of February was selected in deference to Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln, who were both born in that month. The son of a slave, Carter G. Woodson, was born in New Canton, Virginia, December 19, 1875. And then he began high school at the age of 20, and then proceeded to study at Berea College, the University of Chicago, the Sorbonne, and Harvard University, where he received a PhD in 1912. Carter G. Woodson founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History in 1915 to train Black historians and to collect, preserve, and publish documents on Black life and Black people. He also founded the Journal of Negro History in 1916, Associated published in 1922, and the Negro Bulletin in 1937. Woodson spent his life working to educate all people about the vast contributions made by Black men and women throughout history. Mr. Woodson died on April 3, 1950, and Black History Month is his legacy. This event today has grown to a celebration reaching far corners of the world, and we here in Berlin aim to execute our part in preserving, documenting, and sharing our history and culture within the culture that we have immigrated to. Although not really recognized or even acknowledged, Germany is experiencing a cultural change, a complexion change through cultural exchange, and our history is now intertwined with the history of Germany simply because we are here and we are active in our pursuits and chosen professions. A complexion change was for sure the day that I set foot on these shores. Our complexion change also occurred in this land the day that my children were born to a German mother. There can be many instances and examples of when and how our complexion change has happened, and with enough inquiry and exploration, we can even determine the reasons why. I have already had this discussion with my two wonderful children, Patrick and Pascal, and their dear mother, Anya, who is raising them, and there's no question of why. The main point to be made here is the fact that the actions of the Black community residing in Germany will be should and must be documented, recognized, and acknowledged to create a better understanding and opportunities in order to fully enjoy the contributions that we bring with us for current societies and the education for future generations. The musicians and artists residing in Germany and other parts of Europe in particular are in fact the ground troops or leaders in sharing their culture. This presence is history in the making as we live it, and it should be recorded as we do here today while we recognize and acknowledge a complexion change.
The way a team plays as a whole determines its success. You may have the greatest bunch of individual stars in the world, but if they don't play together, the club won't be worth a dime. This quote from the great baseball legend Babe Ruth sheds important insight to the question of a complexion change in society. Certain parts of the United States today speak more Spanish than English. Germans today, compared to the beginning of the century, are having so few babies that if the trend continues, their population will either get significantly smaller and even die out, or there will be a huge wave of immigrants to fill the places Germans used to have. The European Union continues to grow, and with the increased number of countries, the EU welcomes also an increased number of languages, cultures, and identities. In these evolving landscapes of what we could call a complexion change, how do we define our individual identities, our national identities, and our regional identities? If we listen to the words of Babe Ruth again, how do we build a winning team or a winning country, a winning nation that works well together? At the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy, we like to define identities like onions. From the surface, an onion looks very simple, a round sphere with a handful of shades of more or less the same color. When one cuts an onion in half, however, one finds a very complicated structure of many different layers building on each other to create the whole. Our individual identities are like onions. To understand who I am as a whole, one must first get to know and understand my many different layers that make up my identity. Our national and regional identities are also onions, made up of many very different layers, such as language, culture, religion, etc. Therefore, if we agree that our individual and our national identities are complex, that they are diverse, and that they are changing, and what we refer to as a complexion change, then how do we as nations deal with this complexion change? Due to globalization and immigration, the faces of the identities of the nations are changing. But how do nations deal with these changes? In the United States, many refer to the model of a melting pot, where the U.S. Can take all the different identities and cultures of the world and melt them together into a boring, neutral-colored soup where all identities merge into one. At the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy, however, we prefer a different model. Instead of eating soup, we like salad. Imagine taking the example of a mixed salad to talk about immigration and identity. Imagine that instead of all cultures losing their unique features and melting into one, we could create a national identity more like a mixed salad. In this mixed salad, a tomato stays a tomato, a carrot stays a carrot, and even the olives are able to stay olives. They're mixed together to form a colorful, tasty, and healthy dish. As we reflect on the national identities and complexion change, let us keep in mind the analogy of a mixed salad as we try to define our policies of both immigration and so-called integration. Let us also keep in mind our common goal, to create, as Babe Ruth said, a winning team, or in other words, a successful society where all citizens have access to their basic rights and needs, and a society that instead of vacuuming away identities, a society that privileges diversity and a diverse mixture of identities. The way a team plays as a whole determines its success. You may have the greatest bunch of individual stars in the world, but if they don't play together, the club won't be worth a dime.
I wrote this poem in honor of our ancestors It's called Gather Your Men and Prepare Your Women. Gather your men and prepare your women, and their rainbow-hued offspring with the grace of God beneath their sails. What must be arrives. What must be arrives and is hailed. Gather your men and prepare your women, side by side along this earth-packed trail. Witness the blossoms of a spectral nation, conceived during fervent prayers and wretched wails. With the loftiest of visions, their dreams were designed to survive the persecution in the modern of these times. Whispered as they were through trembling lips, and watered with the salty sweat of a determined mind, born upon the breasts and lushness of our ancient mothers' hips, and carried upon the shoulders of our fathers, weary and whipped. Visions and dreams, audacious and sacred, sacred as the spilled blood of courage that nourished the ground, and taut as the ready muscle of faith which lifted those who, though downed and drowned, continue to this very day to make a sound. Ancestors weathered stormy winds while shielding their seedlings, and then forever did they wait for this very moment upon the eternal horizons of your life, as you witness the blossoms of their might. They walk with your feet and they grasp with your hands, and they see with your eyes, and they sing with your voice, and they plan through your thoughts, and they drink with your thirst, and they lay with your hopes as you breathe through the night. They lay with your hopes as you breathe through the night. So, gather your men and prepare your women. As far as your eyes can see, lay the signs, that's right. Because the visions of then are the harvest of this present. Behold and claim the treasures that are yours and mine. Gather your men and prepare your women. Behold and claim the gifts of these times. Exchange them for the eclectic keys of the manor. For it has indeed been a long, hard. Oh yes, indeed. It has indeed been a long, hard climb.
to feel the pounding ground. If it's love you give, will you share, receive the bliss of life once sweet there. Clouds pass by for your ears to hear, songs of our past. Lose not your faith, the good will remain as long there's a soul, there is hope. Don't have to search over yonder to find some peace for your mind. Start here, stop to wonder. Be bold, do not lose your pride. The world goes round so that you can breathe. Don't hesitate to live. Raise your head up high. We will get by as long as there is a soul.